Greetings everyone, I am Talisman and welcome to my library. In today's video we'll be looking over the books that I read for December of 2024, a period of time which I'm going to be calling Bookmas. And for December I read 4 books in total, 2 of which are retellings and twists on classic tales. One is about undead assassins, and the 4th book is a classic Christmas tale. So with that said, we'll just jump into some general housekeeping before I get to the reviews. So the housekeeping, rule number 1. These are my own thoughts and opinions, and you are free to disagree or have your own thoughts and opinions. If you wish to discuss anything, I'm happy to do so, as long as it's constructive and respectful. I'm all for it, you know. This is not to target, belittle, or undermine your thoughts and opinions or what your likes are. This is purely my own thoughts and opinions, and you're free to disagree if you want. And sometimes we just agree to disagree. That's how it is. But yeah, this is not a personal attack by any stretch of the imagination. All right. So the second rule is, down in front of me, I have a list of notes. These notes are helping me to refresh my memory just in case I forget something, because I want to be able to pass on all the information that is relevant to you so you can make up your own mind. And I feel that if I leave something out, I'm doing a disservice to you. So that's that done. So that's the housekeeping done. And with that, we'll jump into the first book. And that is Lady Macbeth by Reid. So this book is set somewhere between 927 and 939, I believe, AD. And it follows Reid, who is a young woman from Britannia, the northern region in France. And she is known for her striking beauty. She is claimed to be witch-touched or cursed, and that looking upon her beauty can drive a man mad. But she is sent away to Scotland for a politically arranged marriage to a nobleman by the name of McBeth. And upon arriving at the castle and being wed to McBeth, Reid finds herself isolated and cut off not only from her family and friends, but also her former allies. And she is now surrounded by mystery, suspicion, violence, and dark secrets. And as she learns more about the political court system she now finds herself in, and more about her husband, she starts to learn about her husband's occult ties and the prophecies that he's chasing. Now, as Reid learns more, she now has to navigate and survive more threats that are coming her way, while also understanding and coming to terms with the power within her. So that's basically the story without giving anything else away. My thoughts about the story are, it is a political, medieval fantasy sort of story. It is predominantly set in Scotland, and it is a retelling of Shakespeare's classic Macbeth. It's also a reimagining of it too. And I really enjoyed it overall. I liked how the book painted the struggles of men and women. I loved how it painted the political aspects of everything, the struggles and daily life of people. It was really, really well done. Reid is a very intelligent character. She's very down to earth, very articulate with things, very precise. And I really enjoyed how she was able to use her intelligence to deal with the policies and political aspects of Macbeth's court and the court of Scotland at large. It was really well done, really good to see. And she was a complete contrast to Macbeth, who was this very cold and calculating, knowledge and power-seeking man who seemed to have a tender side to him, but also was this beast that was caged and just wanting to, be released. And it was very interesting to see how they interacted and dealt not only with each other, but also dealt with the people around them. Very well done, very good to see. The only other thing to mention about this book is it does have sexual moments within it, both consensual and non-consensual, but they are tastefully done. They do not derail the plot. They do not consume massive chunks of the book. It was very well done, very tasteful. I don't know what else I could really say with that in that respect, but very good, very well done. If you're a fan of political books, if you're a fan of period pieces, if you're a fan of classic tales that may be reimagined or redone or retellings, definitely give it a go. I think you will really enjoy it. But yeah, I enjoyed it. It was quite good. Without rambling too much more about that, we'll move on to the second book, and I'll just get my notes fixed up. And that is the next book, The Dead Cattail Assassins by P. Djeli Clark. And I mean, the artwork was amazing. I love that artwork. It looks so great. So good. Anyway, the story is set in a world where magic, religion, and political elements all intertwine and are deeply connected. The Dead Cattail Assassins is a secret order of undead killers who are, they're revived or brought back to life, I should say, by a goddess, and they are now bound to her will. So the assassins are now sent out to eliminate different targets that are contracted to them, and if they have to fulfill the contract no matter what. They can't divert from that. But Even is one of the assassins, and she is sent on a routine contracted mission. But when she gets to the target, she realizes that the target has far more significant impact to not only herself but the world at large than she realizes, and she doesn't fulfill the contract. She now is on the run, and this decision of hers has sent shockwaves through not only the Dead Cattail assassins but through the political powers that be as well. And now not only is Even dealing with the consequences of her actions, but she is now being hunted by the powers to be. And this decision has more far-reaching consequences than she could have possibly imagined. And that's the story. So what I loved about this book, yes, I did enjoy the look of the cover. It captivated my attention, but the story, the whole premise of the story sealed the deal for me. It's a 224-page book. It is a dark, political-driven fantasy, which big ticks for me. And it really gave me, or it really made me think, oh, this reminds me of John Wick Parabellum, or this reminds me of Deadpool and Wolverine. And yes, there is elements that are very similar to that, those movies in this book, but this book stands on its own 2 feet, and it's not those movies. It is very different, but there's elements to it that reminded me of them, if that makes sense. So I really enjoyed that because I enjoyed the movies. Also, that sort of helped with this book as well. This book is very well written, very political, and I love that about it. Even's character, I honestly really enjoyed her character, and I wish I could read more about her because I felt like I only was able to scratch the surface of her character. There's so much more I want to explore, and that's part of the criticism I have with this book. I want more of this world. I want more of Even's character. I want to see more of what this world has to offer. And unfortunately I can't, because this is a standalone. The other criticism I had is I felt the ending was a bit more of a cop-out rather than a satisfying ending. It was okay, it was good, but it could have been more, and I felt like it lacked something. I don't know what exactly. I still, to this day, upon reflecting of it, I can't think of what it could really need to make it better for me. It was good though. And overall, the story was really good. I really enjoyed it. I just wish I could read more. That was probably my biggest criticism, but the rest of it, I just don't know how to articulate it properly. Yeah, so really well done. I highly recommend it. Peter Djeli Clark, if you're ever watching this video, I would love to see more of this. Please write a sequel or anything to do with this world and the characters in it, because it was really, really well done. But yeah, if you're a fan of political books, if you're a fan of fantasy and magic, or if you're a fan of the movies John Wick, Parabellum, or Deadpool and Wolverine, I think you will really enjoy it. I think you'll find some elements in there that you'll really fall in love with. Please give it a go and a read. I think you'll enjoy it. And yeah, I hope that there's a sequel. Fingers crossed. Now, without rambling on too much more, the third book that I want to review for December is another twist on and retelling of two classic tales. Now, the story in question is Upon a Starlit Tide by Kell Woods. So, just get my notes up here. This is a story about it's set in St. Malo in Britannia in 1758, I believe. And it follows Lucinde Lyon. She is a spirited young woman and the daughter or the youngest daughter, I should say, of a wealthy shipowner. And Luce longs for the freedom of the sea, for adventure. And she is complete contrast to her older sisters, who are more traditionalists and high society ladies. So, they go to balls and dances and all sorts of. But Lucinde learns to sail from her best friend, Samuel, who is an English smuggler. And he is the only one that seems to understand her longing and yearning for adventure on the open waters. But one stormy morning, everything changes when Lucinde discovers and rescues a mysterious stranger from the sea and from a shipwreck. And she is drawn to him by his charm. And now Lucinde finds herself now thrusted into high society gatherings. But she's also introduced to magic and seduction and hidden brutalities along with this. And now Lucinde finds herself torn between her desires and political circumstances that are pulling her this way and that. Not only that, but she's also starting to understand and come to terms with the growing supernatural power within her. Powers that may be far more closely related to the sea than she expected. So that's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to spoil it too much. But yeah, that's the premise in a nutshell. This is a historical romance, and it's a fantasy romance as well. And it weaves together elements of The Little Mermaid and Cinderella into one story, which was really interesting to see. I'm not a big fan of romance stories, but I read the first book, After the Forest, by Kell Woods. Back, I think it was in 2024, I read that book, and I really enjoyed it. After the Forest is a retelling and reimagining of Hansel and Gretel, and upon reading Upon a Starlit Tide, it feels like it's set in the same universe, which was really good to see. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of romances, but after reading After the Forest, I really wanted to read this book, and I'm glad I did, because I did enjoy it. So what can I say? This story does have a lot of political moments in it, and I think that's the theme for most of these books is politics in December. Oh, geez, what's wrong with me? And it's also very historical, very well written for that. Kell Woods did amazing research for this book. the characters and the connections that she has with other characters, like the characters and their connection with each other, really well done, very well explored. Lucinde is a very naive character at times, but she's also lovable and relatable, and I like that about her. She was quiet and calm, but she also had a strength to her that was, admirable. You definitely could, associate with her. So that was a big tick for me. The hardest part I found about this book was there was a lot of French pronunciations, and I'm not really good at French. Like, I know some words, but there's a lot that I don't know how to pronounce or say properly, and I think I butchered a lot of it. But that was the hardest part for me, where I had to research a lot about the pronunciations and what that actually meant. So that was a minor thing, but it's something that did impact my reading of the story, and it slowed me down because there was so much like French in there that I tried to go, okay, what's that mean? And then after a while, I started to get into it. I think by about halfway, I started to really understand the French a lot more. So yeah, that was a minor thing, but yeah. The other thing to mention is there is some sexual tension in this book. There is some sexual moments in here that are a little bit more, not graphic, but they are a little bit more for an adult audience. And although it's few and far between, it made sense. The sexual elements worked for the story. It wasn't forced. It wasn't something out of left field. It made sense. So big tick for that, because it actually didn't derail the plot or consume the plot. So that's probably the biggest things for me. With After the Forest, and I might go back and review it, the ending was a bit of a letdown for me, but for this particular book, Upon a Starlit Tide, it was a better ending, and I felt really gave this story the just ending that it deserved. So, big ticks. I really like this book. If you're a fan of The Little Mermaid, a fan of Cinderella and twists on classic tales, if you're a fan of politics, if you're a fan of period pieces, definitely one for you, and I highly recommend it. Romance readers will love this too. So yeah, please give it a go. I think you'll really enjoy it. This brings us now to the last book that I read for December. It is a classic Christmas story, and that is A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens. So we should all know the story by now. There's plenty of movies about it and other adaptations, but this is set in London in the 1800s, and it follows Ebenezer Scrooge, a cold and greedy businessman who hates Christmas. And on Christmas Eve, he is visited by the ghosts of his former business partner, Marley, who tells Scrooge that if he doesn't change his ways, he will be suffering the same fate that he did. And that Scrooge will be visited by three spirits who will challenge him and try to show him Christmas and what it actually means in an attempt to change his ways. So that's the story. We should all know it. There's, like I said, plenty of movies about it. And honestly, my favourite version of this story would have to be A Muppet Christmas Carol. It's different, it's funny, it's just everything that I like about it, the Christmas period. So can't highly recommend that book and the book and the movie as well. But really enjoyed the atmosphere that this book had in it. There was a few surprising elements I didn't expect that I wasn't aware were in this story. I really enjoyed the spirits. I enjoyed the Ghost of Marley and the descriptions and what happens with that. It was really, really well done, and I highly encourage everyone to give this book a read. You may think you know the story. I'd give it a go anyway, because it's just really, really good. But please give it a shot. That brings me to the end of the book reviews themselves. I don't know what else really I can say with A Christmas Carol or anything else, but yeah, we'll pretty much wrap that up there. Now, usually I will look at what books I'm reading next, especially for the new year. I was hoping to have one more book read before this video came out, and unfortunately I'm not able to finish it. And that is Lady of the Lake by Jean Menzies, sorry. And like I said, I was aiming to have this finished by now, but unfortunately I'm only halfway through it, or just over halfway through it. This will be my first book for January to finish. So I'll have this in my January review. And because I was aiming to have this one done by the time I record this video, I decided to actually pick out my next read and have that ready to go, because it was going to be my first book for January, but unfortunately that's not how life works. And that was Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Manyman. And yeah, I was hoping to have that one as my first book, but yeah, like I said, things didn't work out the way I planned. So that now leads me to, the first and second book for January. What will be the third and the fourth? Because I'm aiming to get 4 done in January at the very least. So we're going to pick out the next 2 books, and we've got my trusty coin. It looks like a D20. It's got 1 for 1 die, 2 for 2 die. And I'll roll the dice, the number of dice from here, and that will determine on my list what I'll read. And I probably should have the list up on the screen one day. I'm going to have to look into that. But let's see how many dice I roll. That's a 1. So 1 D20, and as you can see. And let's see what it says. That's a 14. Okay, so 14 is on my list. Where are we? And that will be Rogue Protocol. So the third book in the Murderbot Diaries. So, yep, okay, we can definitely do that. Not a problem. I've been looking forward to reading the third book because the first 2 were really good. So, all right, and let's do the second one. That's 1 die as well. So, all right, up we go. That's an 8. Okay, so The Shadow Glass. I have been waiting to read that for some time, and which is really interesting because I just said before that I'm a fan of The Muppet Christmas Carol, and I'm a fan of the Muppets. Well, Jim Henson created a very dark movie that I love called The Dark Crystal. And The Dark Crystal is, or well, The Shadow Glass is supposed to be for people who like The Dark Crystal. So, wow, that's interesting. Okay, fate has given me a really good tie-in there, really good segue. Thank you very much for that. So, yeah, so I'll be reading Lady of the Lake, Dungeon Crawler Carl, Rogue Protocol, and The Shadow Glass, hopefully all for January. So, very good. I'm looking forward to all that. So, if you made it this far into the video, please like, comment, subscribe. I'd love to hear what you thought about the video or any of the books that I reviewed. If you've read them, I'd love to hear about them. Please let me know what you think. And yeah, I will catch you in the next video. I plan to be doing a couple more for the end of December to do final wrap-ups of my books that I love for the year, books that I didn't like, and yeah, we'll go from there. But once again, thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next video, and thank you very much for watching.